Oh, you missed.
One of us has issues.
That was a disappointment.
This would be Tuesday, November 17th, advanced class. We continue with our flowers for Algernon. With what you guys read last night, we get to find out a little bit more about Charlie. What you guys, or do you have anything more to add about Charlie? Mackina?
His friends are very mean to him.
Why are his friends very mean to him?
Because they trick him a lot.
How so?
They say, like, if some, like, one of the examples was, like, some guy lost a package, and he goes, what are you trying to do? Be a Charlie Gordon?
Uh-huh.
And that's so mean, and he didn't know what it was.
True.
So he was just like, oh, they're so nice to me.
But once again, if people make fun of you and you don't know about it, is it really mean?
Yes.
I mean,
it's even worse.
He starts to know.
but the same idea, I make fun of you guys most of the time. And there's only like 3 kids that ever pick up on it. Half the time you guys just smile and nod at me. The 3 kids are like, you just insulted us. I'm like, shh, like, okay. And so the fact that you guys think I like you, that makes it a happy place, not insulting you, right?
No.
But he does know.
I do know you, and it's
Mohammed?
all the time.
At the end, he figured it out, and his face got really red, and he got really sad.
And that's where, and why does he figure it out?
Because he's smart now. And
He's getting smarter. And with intelligence comes the idea of knowing not to prop up iPads. And of course, knowing not to prop...
Who do I need to slap?
It's okay. One kid's still figuring it out while he's... That's right. At some point, Mo will realize he lost points.
Who's spending their points now?
That's right. And so the fact that as he becomes more intelligent, he realizes more stuff around him, and then that causes more problems. The smarter you are, the more issues we have. Because when he was dumb, did he have problems?
No.
No. Now that he's smart, does he have more problems?
Yeah.
So of course the answer to this that we're supposed to learn is...
Being smart is not fun.
Correct. The dumber you are, the better. Jackal.
I think they were making fun of him because there was a rat that had a higher IQ.
That was part of it too. But eventually, someday, like you guys, he might be smarter than a rat. Which I hope the same thing for some of
Except
you.
like us.
Keely.
You should like us at least a little bit, because if we weren't here, you wouldn't have a job.
I would have different kids.
Then
I'd stay in the class.
He'd actually just have a
I
nice
should be your
job.
student teacher.
I know. Says the kid just trying to spend her points now. Kinnigat.
Sorry.
I was looking at his words and stuff
Yes.
from all his progress reports, and he's getting a lot better.
You noticed the language? And,
Yeah,
and,
I can read it now.
and the fact that he's starting to learn how grammar works and fun things like that. It's an exciting day. Mackina.
They got a girl to dance with him, and then he kept falling because people were he said there always was a foot in the way.
That was part of
They
it.
were tripping him.
That was part of it too.
No, but they were trying to embarrass him. And
They
then they
were?
were trying to get him to dance in front of everyone. And then they would put their foot out so he would trip in front of everyone too. I just broke my pencil.
Now, are they behaving are his friends behaving any differently than they've behaved in the past?
No, but now you realize it, and they're like, trip, trip, embarrass, huh?
And so that was part of it. It was true. Plus, they didn't just, I think we got that part of it. They didn't just trip him. They did other things to him too. They did.
Exactly my point.
Which was that same part when he was at the party. They didn't just trip him. Did you figure out what else they did to him besides the tripping of him? Kinnigat?
Did they make him drunk?
Yeah. They put alcohol in there and got him drunk, which he was not used to. And so that's why the whole issue with the cop and stuff like that, when he didn't realize what was going on. So yeah, his friends are definitely not as friendly as they could be. Mohammed?
Wait, so was the bump on his head from the cop?
I think from falling down and stuff like that. From
Okay,
being
and
drunk.
another thing, I don't understand the whole part about the TV that he had to listen to at night.
The idea being is that you learn even when you're not awake. And so if you are sleeping and your brain still picks up on stuff, the idea that he's become smart enough that his brain is working nonstop. And what it is, it's not like a normal TV that has like the Real Housewives on it. It's like an educational thing. And so it's like teaching him foreign languages while he sleeps and stuff like that. And so it's the idea that your brain is constantly going. And it's one of the, it's a psychological theory that they have out there, the idea that you can listen to stuff while you sleep and it goes into your dreams and a lot of it will stick and it will actually help you learn. This is what they're sort of working on. Mackina.
They like got him all drunk and stuff, and
Uh-huh.
then he went to like go do something. He comes back, all of his friends left him
Yes.
at the bar alone.
Because that's hilarious. It was,
You are a cold-hearted teacher.
so yeah, Well,
That's not hard.
I have a heart. It's just a small one. And yes, his friends are jerks, but things will change.
I will be disgusted of them.
Progress report 10. Oh, so we got that. So we got through. We did the downloading. We did the. We're getting to the suspense. As we get to the suspense, as they told him at the very beginning, what's the problem with this surgery? It'll be temporary. So they keep telling him the fact that it might not be permanent. Are you sure you want to be smart if you can't be smart forever? If there's a chance that you're going to have to eventually dumb up at some point. And as of now, as he starts to learn more, that's the idea, is that at some point it might stop. And we did the Rorschach test. And he has not done the Rorschach test again, has he? I think so. Because that'll come up here shortly, where the fact that why could he not do the Rorschach test the first time?
Because he didn't
Jay
have
Blanc?
experience. He has no imagination.
No imagination, which is why he also could not do the thematic apperception test, because once again, when they said, what stories do you see, what did he think they were asking him to do? Lie. He was like, I can't lie, because if you make up a story about things you don't know about, that's, for him, lying. So he was trying his best to not lie. And then the little maze. And then we'll get to our talking here soon. Mohammed,
Oh, sorry, I meant to do that.
to do that one,
When I switched hands, I.
and confused yourself.
Yeah.
All right. We'll keep going. All right. From there, Mohammed, we're on Progress Report 10, April 21st. He has now done the learning, and he feels bad because he finds out his friends, much like Mackinac, he found out that his friends are jerks. And so he's...
My friends aren't jerks.
No, you've learned that. So
Oh,
that same
I was
learning
like,
thing. I'm
my
not
friends
trying to
aren't
make comments
jerks,
on your
but-
friends, just how
Okay.
angry it's been making you. All right, from there.
April 21st. Still didn't go into the factory. I told Mrs. Flynn, my landlady, to call and tell Mr. Donegan I was sick. Mrs. Flynn looks at me very funny lately, like she's scared. I think it's a good thing about finding out how everybody laughs at me. I thought about it a lot. It's because I'm so dumb and I don't even know and I don't even know when I'm doing something dumb. People think it's funny when a dumb person can't do things the same way they can.
Pause for real quick. Does anyone besides the doctors know what's happened to him?
No.
Can he tell them?
No.
So that's part of what's going on, is when he's talking to his landlady, what did he just ask her to do?
Call and tell Mr. Donegan he was sick.
True, but just simplify it. What is she doing for him that he's never done before?
Lying.
There's the big thing. So the fact is, he never lied before. Remember the thematic apperception test? He's like, I don't do lies. And all of a sudden he goes up to his landlady. He's like, hey, I need you to go lie and cover for me. She's like, that's not what you do. And so all of a sudden he's changing, but he's not necessarily noticing how he's changing. All right, keep going, Holly.
Anyway, now I know I'm getting smarter every day. I know punctuation and I can spell good. I like to look up all the hard words in the dictionary and I remember them. I'm reading a lot now, and Miss Kinnian says I read very fast. Sometimes I even understand what I'm reading about, and it stays in my mind. There are times when I can close my eyes and think of a page, and it all comes back like a picture. Besides history, geography, and arithmetics, Mrs. Kinnian said I should start to learn foreign languages. Dr. Strauss gave me some more tapes to play while I sleep. I still don't understand how that conscious and unconscious mind works, but Dr. Strauss says not to worry yet. He asked me to promise that when I start learning college subjects next week, I wouldn't read any books in psychology, that is, until he gives me permission.
Do you guys know what psychology is about?
My brain.
Brain.
There you go. Why do they not want him reading books about psychology?
Because they'll figure out that he got the test thingy.
That what
Kind
they're
of.
doing is bad?
You're on the right track. So I'm not going to pay attention to the idea of why they don't want, because that's going to be coming up again, about the idea of him starting to understand what psychology is and why they don't want him to start reading about psychology.
I think he's gonna die at the end.
What?
I think they're
That's just your type of story,
It
though.
just brings naked happiness for people to die.
No, it doesn't.
You happy.
All right, Mohammed, we're going to be finished out this entry.
I feel a lot better today, but I guess I'm still a little angry that all the time people were laughing and making fun of me because I wasn't so smart. When I become intelligent, like Dr. Strauss says, with 3 times my IQ of 68, then maybe I'll be like everyone else and people will like me. I'm not sure what an IQ is. I'm not sure what an IQ is. Dr. Niemer said it was something that measured how intelligent you were, like a scale in the drugstore weighs pounds. But Dr. Strauss had a big argument with him and said an IQ didn't weigh intelligence at all. He said an IQ showed how much intelligence you could get, like numbers on the outside of a measuring cup. You still have to fill the cup up with stuff. Then when I asked Bert, who gives me my intelligence test and works with Algernon, he said that both of them were wrong. Only I had to promise not to tell them he said so. Bert says that the IQ measures a lot of different things, including some of the things you learned already, and it really isn't any good at all. So I still don't know what an IQ is, except that mine is going to be over 200 soon. I didn't want to say anything, but I don't see how, if they don't know what it is or where it is, I don't see how they know how much of it you got. Dr. Niemer said I have to take a Rorschach test tomorrow. I wonder what that is.
And you guys know what the Rorschach test is, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Now, that's an argument they go back and forth with on the idea of IQ. The idea of, you guys have heard of an IQ, the IQ test, stuff like that. Well, the argument is, does an IQ measure how smart you are or how smart you can be? If you say you have an IQ of 140, which is a genius level IQ, does that mean you have the ability to be a genius or you're already a genius? The idea is, it's an argument they go back and forth on. Some people say it's like, that shows you how smart you could be, but in fact you could still be a moron much lower than that. Other people say, no, that only measures how smart you are and you can go higher. And so it's just an argument that goes back and forth. Pew pew.
68 times 3 is 204, and that's like amazing.
It is. For the most part, it's way above and beyond. Really, I think even the highest IQs right now are probably around 180. But the problem with IQ tests is it's a subjective thing. It's not like measuring your weight. IQ is just sort of like a rough idea of a number. So really, anytime you get over 140, people are just sort of making up numbers anyway. Because once again, IQ is a subjective thing. It's not objective. Subjective means it takes some opinion into it. Objective means it's just like a straight up thing. Like you can't argue your weight. You stand on a scale, there it is. You can't be like, oh, I'm kind of 110. No, you are 110. IQ it goes back and forth, so there's arguments. Trayson?
He's spelling like everything perfectly.
Yeah, it's,
Except for when
He
he
can
said
spell
so
better than
good.
I can.
and part of the problem is he's going to start using words that you guys are going to have problems with. As his intelligence goes beyond, his writing will go beyond where you guys are, and it's going to become, once again, tough to read. And so as that intelligence goes up, it's going to go pew-pew. Not pew-pew, but pew-pew, completely different sound. Mackinac, we'll give you the next one.
I found out what a Rorschach is. It's the test I took before the operation, the one with the ink blots on the pieces of cardboard. I was scared to death of those ink blots. I knew the man was going to ask me to find the pictures, and I knew I couldn't. I was thinking to myself, if only there was some way of knowing what kind of pictures were hidden there. Maybe there weren't any pictures at all. I just lost my... Maybe it was just a trick to see if I was dumb enough to look for something that wasn't there. Just thinking about that made me sore at him. All right, Charlie, he said, you've seen these cards before, remember? Of course I remembered. The way I said it, he knew I was angry, and he looked surprised. Yes, of course. Now I want you to look at this. What might this be? What do you see on this card? People see all sorts of things in these ink blots. Tell me what it might be before you... what it makes you think of.
Tell me what it might be for you, what it makes you think of. So it's like, push back a pause.
I was really confused.
I know, it's okay.
See, he's smarter than I am. Now I just lost my place again.
I was shocked.
I was shocked. That wasn't what I expected him to say. You mean there are no pictures hidden in those ink blots? He frowned and took off his glasses. What? Pictures hidden in the ink blots. Last time you told me everyone could see them and you wanted me to find them too. He explained to me that the last time he had used almost the exact same words he was using now. I didn't believe it, and I still have the suspicion that he mistled me at the time, just for fun of it. Unless, I don't know anymore, could I have been the feeble-minded? We went through the cards slowly. One looked like a pair of bats tugging at something. Another one looked like two men fencing with swords. I imagined all sorts of things, and I guess I got carried away. But I didn't trust him anymore, and I kept turning them around, even looking on the back to see if there was anything that I was supposed to catch. While he was making his notes, I peeked out of the corner of my eye to read it, but it was all in code that looked like this. Blah, blah.
WF plus A, D little d, F, AD, orange, WFA plus object. Go ahead.
The test still doesn't make sense to me. It seems to me that anyone could make up lies about things that they didn't really imagine. Maybe I'll understand it when Dr. Sass lets me read up on psychology.
So, He takes the Rorschach test. Does he have problems with the Rorschach test this time?
No.
Yeah, well, different problems. He doesn't have problems actually finding the pictures. His issue is the idea that he's coming to a further conclusion about what about himself?
He's smart.
Getting smarter.
He is, and his old self
Wasn't smart.
was frighteningly dumb. And that's what he's like, was I really that stupid? He's like, that the guy used the exact same words and that I tried to find hidden pictures. He's like, I was that dumb, I tried to find hidden pictures. He's like, whew. And so he's starting to realize how dumb he was. Have you guys heard the old phrase, ignorance is bliss? The idea being if you don't know about something, then it's probably not going to hurt you. Well, before, he was ignorant and he was happy. Now, he's no longer ignorant. And so with that lack of ignorance, there's going to come a lack of bliss, where he's no longer going to be quite so happy. And those little code letter things that were written in there, it's just for the psychologist to know, are you finding positive things, negative things, and stuff like that. Because once again, not actual pictures, they're getting a judgment of your personality. Are you seeing angry things? Are you seeing happy things? Are you able to come up with them easily? Are you struggling? That's what they're looking for. They don't really care what the picture is, just more how well you can do it. Johnny?
Wait, in the beginning, did he think that there were actual real pictures
Hidden
that were,
inside there.
in-
Like if you looked closely enough, you would find like a little man, like, hi, like waving at you kind of thing. Yeah, he was pretty impressive. Jackal!
April 25th. I figured out a new way to line up the machines in the factory, and Mr. Donegan says it will save him $10,000 a year on labor and increased production. He gave me a $25 bonus. I wanted to take Joe Carp and Frank Riley out to lunch to celebrate, but Joe said he had to buy some things for his wife, and Frank said he was meeting his cousin for lunch. I guess it'll take a little time for them to get used to the changes in me. Everybody seems to be frightened of me. When I went over to Amos Borg and tapped him, he jumped up in the air. People don't talk to me much anymore or kid around the way they used to. It makes the job kind of lonely.
I'm going to have you read the next one and get it too, but does anyone know about what's going on with him? So how are people reacting to him?
They're scared. They're scared.
Yeah, why are they scared of him?
He's smart enough.
Yeah, and so all of a sudden he went from the guy that they all made fun of to all of a sudden he figured out a way to rearrange all of the machines so now they're becoming more efficient. And so that things you don't understand scare you. And people do not understand him, so they're scared of him. When he tries to take his friends out to lunch, do they go with him?
No.
Why?
Because they're scared.
Scared.
So they don't even want to hang out with him anymore. Which, how is that making him feel?
Sad.
So sad. We'll give you one more, Jackal.
April 27th. I got up the nerve to ask Miss Kenyon to have dinner with me tomorrow night to celebrate my bonus. At first she wasn't sure it was right, but I asked Dr. Strauss and he said it was okay. Dr. Strauss and Dr. Niemer don't seem to be getting along so well. They're arguing all the time. This evening I heard them shouting. Dr. Niemer was saying that it was his experiment and his research, and Dr. Strauss shouted back and he contributed just as much because he found me through Miss Kenyon and he performed the operation. Dr. Strauss said that someday thousands of neurosurgeons might be using his technique all over the world. Dr. Niemer wanted to publish the results of the experiment at the end of the month. Dr. Strauss wanted to wait a while to be sure. Dr. Strauss said Dr. Niemer was more interested in the chair of psychology at Princeton than he was in the experiment. Dr. Niemer and Dr. Strauss said nothing. Was nothing but an
Opportunist.
Trying to ride to glory on his
Coattails.
When I left afterwards, I found myself trembling. I didn't know why for sure, but it was as if I'd seen both men clearly for the first time. I remember hearing Bert say Dr. Niemer had a shrew of a wife who was pushing him all the time to get things published so he could become famous. Bert said that the dream of her life was to have a big shot husband.
So once again, that whole idea of ignorance is bliss. He's starting to understand more about the people who are running the experiments. They are not super god people. They are normal humans. And so the fact that they're fighting, and these are the people who are in control of his brain, and he says one of them is doing it just because he wants to become famous, and the other person is trying to do it because he's trying to further science. And so he's listening to these two guys fight and realizing that they're not nearly as special as he thought they were. Oh, and he also made a big first step What's he going to go on?
A date.
A date. I'm sure this can only end well. From there, Aaliyah.
April 28th. I don't understand why I never noticed how beautiful Miss Kenyon really is. She has brown eyes and feathery brown hair that comes to the top of her neck. She's only 34. I think from the beginning I had the feeling that she was an unreachable genius and very, very old.
Do you remember how old he is?
37.
Yeah, and so he thought she was older than him. Why did he think she was older than him?
She was smarter.
Because she was so much smarter, but yet she's younger than him. All right, keep going.
Now every time I see her, she grows younger and more lovely. We had dinner and a long talk, and when she said I was coming along so fast I'd be leaving her behind, I laughed. It's true, Charlie. You're already a better reader than I am. You can read a whole page at a glance while I can take in only a few lines at a time. And you remember every single thing you read. I'm lucky if I can recall the main thoughts and the general meaning. I don't feel intelligent. There are so many things I don't understand. She took out a cigarette and I lit it for her. You've got to be a little patient. You're accomplishing in days and weeks what it takes normal people to do in a lifetime. That's what makes it so amazing. You're like a giant sponge now, soaking things in. Facts, figures, general knowledge, and soon you'll begin to connect them too. You'll see how different branches of learning are related. There are many levels, Charlie, like steps on a giant ladder that take you
Take you up higher.
Take you up higher and higher to see more and more of the world around
You.
That's a really weird typo.
Yeah.
I can see only a little bit of that, Charlie, and I won't go much higher than I am now. But you'll keep climbing up and see more and more, and each step will open new worlds that you never even knew existed. She frowned. I just hope to God. What? Never mind, Charles. I just hope that I wasn't wrong to advise you to go into this in the first place. I laughed. How could that be? It worked, didn't it? Even Algernon is still smart. We sat there silently for a while, and I knew what she was thinking about as she watched me toying with the chain of my rabbit's foot and my keys. I didn't want to think of that possibility any more than elderly people want to think of death. I knew that this was only the beginning. I knew what she meant about levels because I'd seen some of them already. The thought of leaving her behind made me sad. I'm in love with Miss Kenyon.
Aww.
She does.
Wow, they're all just gonna die. So the idea being here is, what's the problem with them going out? Muhammad?
He's gonna get dumber because it's not permanent.
Part of it is the fact that he's going to get, in the long term, he'll eventually get dumber. In the short term,
He'll be fine.
yeah,
He'll be fine.
that's not what her worry is.
Really smart.
Obviously, smart.
Yeah, the fact that he's going to be so much smarter than her. And he's like, she's like, I can only go this high. You're going to go way up here. She's like, I'm not even going to be able to match up with you anymore. He's like, it doesn't matter. I like you. She's like, yeah, but she's like, I'm going to be a moron in comparison to where you're going to be, and you're going to be all the way up there. So that's what their worry is. That's when she does the whole, I just hope to, and the worry being that we don't know what's going to happen, but it could be bad. Mohammed?
I have two things.
Mm-hmm.
It said that he's able to just kind of take a glance at a page and read the entire page once. So he's already really smart. I thought he was because you're seeing it from his perspective, so it seems like he's not as smart.
Part of the problem is what he has to compare things to, and the fact is he doesn't know how high he can go. And so his idea of being smart is, he doesn't know what smart is, I guess. And so even when he becomes smart, he's not going to think he's smart, because he's always been dumb. So he always is going to think that there's more for him to learn. So everything he sees is just more new stuff. It's like going to a theme park for the first time, and you get to the first little section, you're like, this is the best thing ever. People are like, you're just in the first doorway. That's the first dwarf. There's more? And you come back this is the best thing ever. No, you've only gotten to the first section. A whole part. And so he's in this theme park that is intelligence, and so he does not realize how far it goes.
Alright, and were those spelling mistakes on purpose?
No, I think it was in the version I got of it. It just had little editing issues in there. Let's finish out our last progress report.